I don't know about you, but I feel like I haven't seen a football game in 2 weeks. Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Chirozzi.
It's hot out there. Let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Chirozzian, and this is RamView, the February 26th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. Yep, it's been 2 weeks since the last football game. And here's the funny thing. I get it when people don't like Thursday night games because usually they're not the best games. I think it's rough on the players. I can't believe the players union, which says it cares about player safety, has these Thursday night games. And yet there's a lot of angst about them and everything, but we miss them when we don't have them, right? We miss them when we don't have them. I find myself looking forward and counting the days until the UFL kicks off. So anyway, happy to be here today. I'm channeling my Throwing Samoan, my Cleat Casper Washington State jersey here today, and getting ready to talk some Ram football. And before we get into that, a little bit about ins and outs of what they're going to do in the draft and everything, the question popped to me somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it. Was if you were a Ram fan, do you want the Rams to take a look at Xavier Howard, who was a cap casualty for the Dolphins, as well as edge rusher Emmanuel Ogbah? And Howard's had a great career. But my response was no. I mean, if they're dirt cheap, sure, I'd give them a look. But Ogbah's never been a high-producing kind of guy when it comes to the edge play. And Xavier Howard's last best year was 2021. Now, he's been a great corner. And is there anything left in him? I don't know. I wouldn't want to pay for these guys. But, if they want to come in and try to make the team and maybe, give us a few snaps, I wouldn't argue against that. Of course, everything's just out of whack right now. In a good way, everything's out of whack right now because of the salary cap. The salary cap going up 31 rocks up to 255.4. And teams that we thought were going to be devastated. I mean, I don't think it's completely cleared everything for the Chargers, but between that and Corey Linsley's renegotiation for his restructure, it brings the Chargers back to the land of the living when it comes to the salary cap hole they were in. Some teams are still in the salary cap hole, but not as monumental as it was before. And so it's just something to think about as a Ram fan. It's exciting to think that there are options out there. Now, Xavier Howard had some clicks left in him. If he had some snaps left in him, man, that'd be kind of an interesting sign, wouldn't it? And so it's making everything going to March 13th really, really interesting. But we get to March 13th, as we get to late April when the draft comes around, I understand people are already talking because McVay was pretty didn't seem like he was against it, just that everything's being explored, is the idea that the Rams could trade down in this year's draft, from 19, moved back to the back of the first round or into the second. And it's like, wait, we haven't had a draft pick in the first round since Jared Goff. And the Rams have been to the playoffs, 4 times, and they've been to the Super Bowl twice, and they've won the Super Bowl. There is something about those picks that their value that you can turn them into something else, which the Rams continue to do. But I wanted to throw this at you just to think about heading into next season right now. Starting for the Rams likely will be 3 fifth-round draft picks at key positions. Kyron Williams will be running back number 1. Puka Nacua will be wide receiver number 1. And Davis Allen will be tight end number 1. So that's 3 fifth-round draft picks that are 2 of them are significant impact players. We're going to find out about Allen, although we saw flashes last year. Also, if the offensive line, based on the Rams will tender Alaric Jackson, and they really want Coleman Shelton back. But even if those guys, let's just say they do come back and the Rams don't do anything else, that means 2/5 of their offensive line is made up of undrafted free agents, not a first-round draft pick anywhere in that group. So 5 key players next year on that offense out of 6 will be either 5th-round picks or undrafted free agents. And all these guys were acquired in the era when the Rams had no first-round pick. On defense, at least last year, let's look at last year's defense. Undrafted free agents, UDFAs, Jonah Williams, Christian Roseboom, and Troy Reeder. Hardly the scourge of the earth, hardly the steel curtain, hardly doomsday defense, hardly anything like that. But Rams won 10 games last year with these guys. Rams won 10 games, and we could all remember plays where Jonah Williams, Christian Roseboom, and Troy Reeder all made a significant contribution. Okay. Also, the secondary, Darian Kendrick, Jordan Fuller, and Quentin Lake, all starters, all were taken in the 6th round, all of them. And the Rams won 10 games. Now, I know everyone's out on Kendrick. Jordan Fuller's likely gone as a free agent. Quentin Lake, his star, is starting to rise. But those were the guys they were depending on last year, and they won 10 games. So you're looking at 6 players, 5 starters in this group that were 6th round or worse, 6th round or undrafted free agents, and the Rams won 10 games. I want to complain. I do. There are times that you're used to it when you're watching sports, your team frustrates you, right? But the problem with the McSnead era is that it compels you to trust, because every time you want to punch them for doing this or doing that, well, what do? They make a draft pick or something that ends up being Kyron Williams or Puka Nacua, or they get clicks out of somebody they've developed like Jonah Williams. Quentin Lake, who, UCLA was good. I don't know if anyone projected, but he's starting to look pretty special for the Rams in that star position. I think the one place as Ram fans that we can literally complain all we want and force them to listen to us is a backup quarterback. I will say this, the McSnead era has been terrible when it comes to backup quarterbacks, right? Even going back to Sam Bradford, right? Sam Bradford goes down and we're starting Kellen Clemens and Sean Hill and who's it, Austin Davis and who are our backup quarterbacks, right? The only one with any experience they brought in was Blake Bortles, but he never played. And so something to think about in terms of, you want to complain about the Rams, let's complain about McSnead's inability to get a backup quarterback. Hopefully they can right that by giving maybe Carson Wentz a little bit more to stay, since there's room under the salary cap. But speaking again to that idea of drafting later in the first round or moving out of the first round. So I went to 2 mock draft simulators, and one's on PFF, the other one's NFL mock draft database. I don't know if the PFF one is free. I am a subscriber to that website, but NFL mock draft database is free. So just type in NFL mock draft database and you can go and do your own mock draft. And I really didn't run a mock draft, but what I wanted to do is they will have them send you trade offers for your pick. And in the PFF one, I turned the Rams' 19th overall pick into a deal with Washington. And in return, I got Washington's 36th pick, 67th, 101st, and 103rd. In other words, for the 19th pick, I got a second rounder and 3/3. What do you think? A second round pick and 3/3 for our 19th round pick. Would you move down in the draft to get that? If that trade happened, the Rams would have in the first 100, or right there in the first 3 rounds, picks 36, 52nd, 67, 83, 100, 101, and 103. That would be really tempting to make a deal like that. And I checked to see if we made that deal, who would still be available at 36. And there's a left tackle there out of the University of Arizona named Jordan Morgan, a lot of experience. grades out really well, he would still be available, as well as several cornerbacks and several edge players. I just thought it was interesting to do that. I went to the NFL mock draft database, and I got 2 trade offers. One for the 19th overall pick. They had Tampa Bay offering the Rams the 26th overall first round, and then the 89th overall in the 3rd round, plus a 7th rounder in 2025. All that for number 19. The Dolphins offered the Rams just to go back 2 spots to the 21st pick and the 55th overall. So if the Rams made that deal, the Rams would have number 21, picks number 52, 55, 83, and 100. That would be pretty tempting, right? To pick up a 2nd rounder by just moving 2 slots back. It's just stuff to think about, because I don't think it's off the table with the Rams doing something like that. I'm trying to see a world where they move up, and I could play that game, but it seems likely that they could move back. And I don't think I'd be upset about it, because, again, the McSnead era does compel you to trust, right? And just wanted to throw that out there before we get to further on in the show. Around the NFL and other places, as expected, the Bengals franchise tagged T. Higgins. Other franchise tags are expected to start coming as we move closer to technically the start of the new season. Eric Bieniemy got a job, goes back to UCLA, and he'll be helping out there. Deshaun Foster, I think, is the OC. And it's just interesting. Like, is that it for Bieniemy? Is his time in the NFL over? You'd think somewhere with his resume he'd get a job, but maybe, I don't know. Again, we talked about some people interview poorly. Is this the end of the line for Eric Bieniemy? Excited this week because the scouting combine is starting. Penix and Bo Nix are going to be there, and apparently they're going to throw. Penix probably needs to, because he's dropped 10. I've seen 2 mock drafts with him recently at number 39 and number 43. So he probably wants to throw and show what he can do. And of course, he's got to be measured and inspected and all those things they do to a guy that do ACL surgeries. Again, I don't understand. The concern, which, I mean, I understand the concern, but it seems like they're overly concerned about Penix and his history past. But UCLA's they're not as concerned about his, and he's going to be getting hit every play. Just something to think about. Also, the scouting combine, I do like that Nix and Penix are scheduled to throw, because most of these top tier guys aren't going to throw. They're skipping the testing, right? And again, you got to go with what the testing says. It's kind of, because CJ Stroud didn't do really well in the testing, but boy, he sure looked good on the field. And that's the word. There's so much film on these top tier guys nowadays that I really don't think a lot of them have to go to these combines. And I'd like to see more emphasis put, and that's what it seems like it's trending to, more emphasis put on 2nd and 3rd day draft prospects, just to give you an idea of who's coming down the pipeline, because I think everyone's got an idea of who the first rounders are. I watched the combine. I was a little more addicted to it back in the day when I was working for the Mid. I had to slow down. In other news and other places, NFL columnist Peter King announced his retirement. I wasn't a huge Peter King fan. When he was talking football, he was good. But when he needed to score social points, as in issues regarding the Washington Redskins, Texans, Commanders, I thought he was as insufferable as Bob Costas, who, always needed to feel important. And that's it. You're important enough because you got the job to cover sports, man. Be happy. But sometimes it happens where you feel like you need to contribute more. And it's like, you're grading your field. Stay in your lane, bro, right? Stay in your lane, Peter King.
Stay in your lane, bro.
There we go. Had to get that one in there. Okay, I'm Joe Rosen. I was a sports writer for 21 years. I was one of the founding members of Mid Valley Sports. I do RamView now, and I write books. And my books and RamView help support me in my day job, as I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. And you can catch us right here on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Burbank Faith Virtual, as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com and other places across social media. And check out my books. Tim Burns is currently reading one of my books, and leave a review, buy the books. Not working behind a paywall here, but it helps keep us going, keeps us on the air. And so Wanted to get that out. Let's see if there's any questions there. All right, I do have some questions. Outstanding. Geez nuts. If we can get a good end rusher or defensive back, I'm good with them trading that first round pick. Yeah, amen. I know there is something about, I want to be in the first round. And it's been interesting looking at the draft for the first time in several years to actually see there's players the Rams are in the market for that they can actually get their hands on, as opposed to seeing somebody drop, well, who's available at pick number 104? I agree. Geez nuts. Snead is has come clutch in the late rounds. Absolutely. Unless we do trust. And geez nuts, we are in agreement. I like your icon there. It looks like Jack Youngblood. We are in full agreement about the Rams not able to figure out backup quarterback in the whole Snead era. That's right. So we can give them garbage about that. Hey guys, if you have any more questions, throw them my way. And we'll start talking more at the back end of the show. Some Rams update. They are hiring former Eagles defensive coordinator Sean Desai to a senior defensive role, whatever that means. Chris Shula is the DC. Desai was the guy replaced in midseason in that debacle in Philly for Matt Patricia. Maybe McVay sees a chance to rehabilitate Desai, and maybe Desai goes on to do other things in the NFL, and so maybe the Rams are just looking at an opportunity there. As we went off the air on Friday, I think it was just as soon as I clicked, "Hey guys, catch you later, goodbye." I saw the word that Demarcus Robinson signed for 1 year, $5 rocks, so it's old news now. I didn't want to lead with that, but I think it's a great signing for the Rams. Good for Demarcus Robinson. As I looked at those mock drafts, one of the mock drafts we're looking at today is the Sports Illustrated mock draft, and that has 4 rounds covered. And I was guesstimating something like 12 receivers in the first 100 would go. Well, in the SI mock draft, it has 17 receivers going in the first 100 and 21 wide receivers going in the first 4 rounds. And when you think about that, coupled with free agency, now T. Higgins was tagged. You could look at similar things like Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, Hollywood Brown, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, OBJ, Tyler Boyd. All those guys are out there. That really brings a glut to the market. And every year, it seems like you're getting 5 to 10 frontline receivers coming in the league. So that really helped the Rams in terms of signing Demarcus Robinson. Unprofessional, I know, but I had to clear my throat. So they got Demarcus Robinson at a good price. And Demarcus Robinson, credit to his agent and whoever was working with him, knowing that with this glut of receivers in the NFL, that there wasn't going to be a market for him. He comes back to the Rams. And he's got familiarity. He's got the trust of Matthew Stafford. So real good deal for Demarcus Robinson and for the Rams. So their top 3 receivers are solidified. I still think they should look at a receiver in the first 100, but that was really good getting Demarcus Robinson back. Speaking of that SI mock draft, how the world changes when your throat is clear. Speaking of that SI mock draft, they, of course, had Caleb Williams going number 1, and there's all sorts of stuff floating around out there that they're getting ready to move Justin Fields, possibly to Pittsburgh, possibly to other places. There's talk about Steeler fan Rob from Missouri, who usually watches us. He texted me this morning all excited about the potential of Russell Wilson being put in the street and then Russell Wilson going at a bargain basement price to Pittsburgh. I like Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh better than I do Justin Fields, but it's not my problem. What's that? It's not. It's not my circus, not my monkeys, not my nuts. It's like it's not my show. It's not my problem what Pittsburgh does, and so we can see what they can do. So Caleb Williams going to Chicago, but then SI has Jaden Daniels, number 2, going to Washington. Drake May, number 3, going to New England, and back to where it was for most of this draft season. Marvin Harrison going to Arizona at 4. Has the Chargers taking Malik Neighbors at number 5, and that makes you wonder again, what are they going to do with Mike Williams, right? Because he's got a big fat contract, and he's got a lot of injuries. Rome Odunze, the Washington receiver, going to the Giants at 6. The Notre Dame tackle, Joe Alt, going to the Titans. Number 8, Dallas Turner, the edge guy. Bears at number 9, getting Brock Bowers. It's really interesting. Everywhere from 6 to 18 to 19, you're seeing Brock Bowers. Jets get Olu Fashanu from Penn State at left tackle at number 10. Vikings, number 11, Terrion Arnold, the CB. Denver, number 12, J.J. McCarthy. Raiders, number 13, Bo Nix. Saints, number 14, J.C. Latham. Colts, number 15, Jared Verse. Seattle, number 16, Troy Fontenot out of Washington. Quinyon Mitchell, number 17, going to the Jaguars. That's the darling of the Senior Bowl. And then, of course, Cincy at number 18, Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State. Ram fans had their eye on him. Mock drafts had the Rams taking him. And then at number 19, Sports Illustrated projects Leatu Latu at number 19, the UCLA guy going to the Rams. And again, I'm struggling with that one. You know, when I look at who they're projecting the Rams to take, you know, I could see a Kool-Aid McKinstry. I could see a Quinyon Mitchell. I could see a Jackson Powers Johnson. But I don't know. And I could be completely wrong. I see a Nate Wiggins. I see a Talisi Fuaga. I just don't see Latu out of UCLA going to the Rams at 19. I don't know. Given his injury history and what the Rams need, I don't see that. Anyway, thought I'd throw that out there. Jackson Powers Johnson going to the Dolphins at 21. Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle, going to the Steelers at 20. Nate Wiggins, 22, going to Philly. The Texans taking Byron Murphy. The Cowboys taking Jordan Morgan. Cooper DeJean, which his name has popped up a lot, number 25, going to the Packers. Chop Robinson, who's climbed up a lot of charts, number 26 to Tampa. Kool-Aid McKinstry going to Arizona at number 27. And then this receiver, Brian Thomas, good receiver, going to the Bills at 28. Enos Rickstraw, cornerback, going to the Lions at 29. Johnny Newton, DT, going to the Ravens. 49ers taking Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle. That makes sense. The 49ers are going to need offensive line help. And Chiefs taking Darius Robinson, defensive tackle. And, of course, that all depends on Chris Jones. I know I went through that kind of tediously. I apologize. But I just wanted to get the names out there. At number 39 in this 4-round draft by the SI, Sports Illustrated, they have Penix going to the Giants at 39. Ladd McConkey dropping all the way to 45, the Georgia receiver, to the Saints. Troy Franklin of Oregon going to the Colts. Xavier Worthy, Texas receiver, going to the Bengals. Guys were talking about him last week because of his speed. I think Tim Burns was. And then Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler at number 52 from South Carolina going to the Rams. Now, I was just talking with G's Nuts here about I get upset because the Rams don't seem to ever get backup quarterback right. I am not in love with Spencer Rattler. I am not. Get us a veteran quarterback. I do not want a rookie quarterback just learning how to play in this league when the Rams Super Bowl window is open. You could draft another quarterback in this draft, but let's stick it back in the 5th round and let's get what we need to make this window that's open now be open, and let's re-sign Carson Wentz. I didn't like that. I thought that was a lazy pick by Sports Illustrated. At number 65, they had the Panthers taking the Texas tight end, Ja'Tavion Sanders, who is projected to go to the Rams. Another name that's familiar to Ram fans, Jalen Polk out of Washington, number 73, going to the Lions. Michigan receiver Roman Wilson, number 79, going to the Falcons. And then at number 83, they have the Rams taking Chris Abrams-Drain, cornerback out of Missouri. I wasn't familiar with him. And then at number 100, I've heard the name. I'm familiar with him a little bit, is off-ball linebacker Peyton Wilson out of North Carolina State going to the Rams at 100. That was the Sports Illustrated draft. And by putting Leatu there, it's really interesting that by putting him there, that's the 3rd. Daniel Jeremiah in his first mock draft had the UCLA guy going to the Rams. Rams Wire had the UCLA guy going to the Rams, and now Sports Illustrated has the UCLA guy going to the Rams. I hope they're wrong. I really, really hope they're wrong. Okay, as we're looking at teams the Rams are playing, we've kind of looked at the 49ers already, the Cardinals. Let's look at the Seahawks. Seahawks are dealing with, they're 9-8 the last 2 years. They're looking at free agents Leonard Williams, Bobby Wagner, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Evan Brown, Jordan Brooks. Bobby Wagner seems to have a lot left in the tank. Leonard Williams can play, although he's projected some serious bucks. I think I saw 17 rocks for him. And then, of course, Noah Fant, tight end. So there's some guys they have to deal with. Evan Brown, they can let walk. They need help along the offensive line in the interior. Geno Smith, they restructured. But I got to believe with the 16th overall pick, don't you think the Seahawks that this is the year they finally go after a quarterback? Those first 2 drafts, they got rid of Russell Wilson. Everyone thought they'd go quarterback. They danced with Geno Smith. Okay, fine. But doesn't it seem like this time they've really got to draft a quarterback? Tyler Lockett's not getting any younger. DK Metcalf, he's always one blow up away from costing you a game, but he's extremely talented. But between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, they eat up over 50 rocks of the Seahawks salary cap. If you're going to have those guys, and then you got Jackson Smith-Njigba developing, if you're going to have those guys and pay that kind of money to them, you better have a quarterback who can consistently get them to the ball, because that window is going to close. You're going to lose them. If the tackles stay for them, Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, totally healthy their first year, totally broken and fallen apart their second year, but those guys can play. They're in good shape. Seahawks need a lot of help across the interior of the line. They also spend too much money for Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Diggs is 31. Adams is 29. Neither one of them had a good season. And the guy that was the steal of the draft last year, was he a 5th rounder or 6th rounder? Tariq Woolen. Remember him? He had a really bad year. Although they scored well with Devon Witherspoon, Woolen really regressed. When you look at this Seahawk lineup, besides playing the Rams and Cardinals and Niners at home, they're also hosting the Packers, tough game, Vikings, Bills, tough game, Dolphins, tough game, Giants, and Broncos. And then they go on the road to play the Bears, the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, and the Falcons. Remember last year they actually won in Detroit in week 2 after losing the Rams in week 1. But this looks like another 8-9, 9-8 team. And it'll be interesting because they got the new coach, McDonald. And, maybe they needed a fresh voice in there. But you know what? Pete Carroll was probably a significant reason they picked up a couple of extra wins to get to that 9-8 landings place. And I think that's the best they can hope for, unless they really decide to make a move at quarterback and to shore up the interior of that offensive line. I thought the Seahawks had a chance to become real contenders this coming season, but we'll have to see. They haven't shored up the offensive line, and we got to see what they're going to do at quarterback. So interesting. Anyway, got that out of the way. All right, I think we're good. I think we did it. It was a stone group, but I'm not done. Did you know in 1971 the Chargers traded Dickie Post out of Houston to the Denver Broncos for a 2nd-round pick? Post had a 5-year NFL career, but his first 3 years in San Diego, he was fantastic. He replaced Lowe at running back, and he did really well and looked really good, had some big plays, returned kicks, could catch the ball. He was only 5'9", and then injuries caught up in 69, injuries caught up, and in 1970, he was injured again. And so in 1971, in July of 71, the Chargers traded Dickie Post to the Denver Broncos for a 2nd-round pick. And, why would the Broncos do that? They already had Floyd Little, but they made the move. And he didn't even stick around the whole season with the team, and he ended up finishing 71 with the Oilers and was out of football. Well, 6 months after Post was traded from the Chargers to the Broncos, the Chargers took that 2nd-round pick they got from the Broncos, and they sent it with another 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick to the Rams, along with another player, for a guy named Deacon Jones. Yeah, it was part of the Deacon Jones trade. And the Rams had a 2nd-round pick in 1972. And you know what they did with that 2nd-round pick? The 30th selection overall, they took a running back out of Texas named Jim Bertelsen. And today is Jim Bertelsen, the late Jim Bertelsen's birthday. He would have been 74 years old. But it's interesting to know the backstory of how someone who most Ram fans would remember had a nice career with the Rams, nice, for an undersized fullback type, could catch the ball, could block before his body betrayed him, gave up on him. But Jim Bertelsen, who passed away a few years ago, would have been 74 today. Also celebrating his 51st birthday today is Marshall Faulk. And if you remember, Marshall Faulk played 7 seasons for the Rams. I think he played, 4 seasons with the Colts. The Rams got Marshall Faulk for a 2nd-round pick, 36th overall, that turned into linebacker Mike Peterson, who had a really good career, and a 5th-round pick, 138 overall. And Marshall Faulk was fantastic for the Rams. I saw, we saw Marshall Faulk, a lot of Marshall Faulk highlights here down at San Diego State, and I thought he'd be good, but I thought he'd just be a back. But it wasn't until he got to the Rams that you realized this guy was a runner. He was a receiver. He was not just a receiver that caught the ball out of the backfield. You could put him in the slot. And on top of that, he blocked. And then he was just a great team leader, totally Hall of Fame worthy. And you even saw that in the last 2 years he played when Steven Jackson was getting the bulk of the carries. Faulk became the spot guy. He'd spot him for a snap or two. And Faulk was just a fantastic player. But today he turns 51. So happy birthday to Marshall Faulk. Okay, now I think we got it out of the way at the 31-minute mark. All right. G's nuts, Youngblood, greatest Ram in my opinion. Now you're talking about Jack Youngblood, not Jim Youngblood, right? So Jim Youngblood wasn't bad. Bill, if we get an elite edge rusher and cornerback, who do we take with our 1st-round pick? Are you assuming that we'll get them in free agency? Bill, I definitely think the 4 things I want in the first 100. The Rams got picks at 19, 52, 83, and 100. Okay, so they got 4 picks in the top 100. I really want them to look at corner, absolutely. I have no problem with them taking another edge guy in the first 100. I want an offensive lineman, and the truth is I want a wide receiver. Those are the guys I want in the first 100. One of the things that kind of blows some things out of the water is that while the Rams had cap money, and now they've got more cap money, somewhere closing in on 50 rocks, the problem is some of these other teams. And so guys that we expected to be on the market might not be on the market. And you just don't know how it's going to play out. It kind of turned the offseason upside down with the biggest increase ever in history. But those are the guys I want. That's what I want, Bill. I want a wide receiver late, an edge late, but I want also a corner, and I want another offensive lineman. That's just how I roll. A USA expat, in Sneed we trust. Amen. I believe that. Didn't see Jesus. Oh, there you go. You're all thinking alike. Pete Carroll is also an ex-Frisco coach. Yeah, he was on some of those Walsh squads, wasn't he? I think early on. Joe, this is from Bill. I remember Jim Bertelsen, Les Josephson, Willie with these guys. I came Jim Bertelsen's rookie year. He ran for 581 yards. My brother really liked him. I saw him play briefly, but mostly was listening to the Ram games on the radio that year that I remember in 72. My first full year was 73, and he was wearing 45, McCutcheon 30. And then that's the year McCutcheon ran for 1,097 yards, and Bertelsen ran for 854. I thought he was named to the Pro Bowl team. I don't know, but that was a pretty powerful running game. And no wonder John Hadel had such a great year throwing the ball. No wonder Harold Jackson was so wide open and everything. But going back to Bill, free agency, it's really kind of, it's who you don't get in the draft. I would like the money spent on a top flight pass rusher, right? I know I said draft an edge guy, but there was a time when the Rams had a whole roster full of edge rushers. When you think of Samson Ebokam and Ogbo Okoronkwo, and they weren't elite, but they were a lot better than some of the guys we have now. And so I wouldn't mind seeing them draft somebody, later on in the first 100. But I'd like to see them in free agency go after a guy that's out there. I heard there's a report that Brian Burns is about to be tagged. Everyone's in love with Brian Burns. I kind of lean Josh Allen. I don't know what you folks think. Do you guys like Josh Allen or Brian Burns? I don't want to pay Brian Burns 5 years at 27 rocks a year for 5 years. I think that's too much. I think Josh Allen has better numbers to argue for that kind of dough. If I had my druthers, I'd sign L'Jarius Sneed. I want a bad dude corner, man. And if you get a bad dude corner, then you could do something different with that first pick in the draft. Note to Bill, USA Expat, and you guys, how do you feel about the Rams trading down in the draft? Are you prepared for that? Because people are, I can hear the clamor now. I can't believe they did this. The news I want to hear, though, between now and the draft is we re-signed Carson Wentz. That's the news I want to hear. That's the thing I want to hear first and foremost. We re-signed Carson Wentz, and so the backup thing is off the table. That's done. We've taken care of it. I don't want to fill it with a rookie. I don't want to fill it with some guy just learning how to play in the NFL. It'd be nice if Stetson Bennett got his life in order, came back and spent next year on the practice squad, right? But I do not want a rookie backing up Matthew Stafford this year because it doesn't make any. The offensive line could be good, but Stafford could be running on the field and pull a cramp, right? Pull a calf muscle. We saw Dre Greenlaw blow out his Achilles running onto the field in the Super Bowl. So you don't know. It could happen anywhere. I want a competent NFL quarterback playing behind Matthew Stafford. And the only team I can see really looking at Carson Wentz at this point, as he's done his merry-go-round around the league, he went to Philly, Indy, Washington. The only place I could see is maybe if he impressed Raheem Morris and wanted to bring him in to Atlanta, just throwing it out there. Yes, Bill says, I love Josh Allen. And that is the Josh Allen in Jacksonville. I love the Josh Allen in Buffalo, but the one that we're talking about is the Josh Allen in Jacksonville. And I know he's going to cost a huge chunk of change. If somebody said, give up this year's number one and next year's number one for Josh Allen, would you do it? I'd be really tempted to pull that trigger. USA Expat, I am huge on trading down and loading up on top 100. And also like your draft needs thinking. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I appreciate what you said there. It's about this window, right? Is it not about this window? This window is critical because you're getting Aaron Donald at the end of his run. We don't know what Cooper Kupp's got left. And we've also got Matthew Stafford to think about. The window's open, so I don't want to pussyfoot around with who my quarterback's going to be in 2026, right? I don't want to do that, right? If somebody wants to sign, if somebody else wants to come in and be the backup quarterback, I don't want a Teddy Bridgewater. If it's Gardner Minshew or something, I'll dance with that. I just want somebody who's capable of throwing an NFL pass. Because we learned in Green Bay that Brett Rippon is not capable of throwing an NFL pass, and that cost the Rams. So one of the last things in my notes here, and I should probably let you guys go, but since you got folks watching, we can talk. You can throw questions at me, and if I can't answer it, I'll throw it back at you. But one of the things that came up as I was studying for this show, because you got to almost study doubly harder now that there's no games and we're in this zone where not much is happening transaction wise, is after that bye week, after that week we lost in Green Bay, and then there was the bye week, everything has gone right for the Rams. Everything has gone right. Now, should we have won in Baltimore? Absolutely, we should have won in Baltimore, and probably should have won that playoff game. But other than those two minor blips, everything has gone right so far for the Rams, and my heart is waiting for some boot to drop to say, okay, someone got hurt in some OTA or off-season workouts. Dano, Edge, Josh Allen, let's go. Are we talking 2 draft picks for Josh Allen? If we're talking, would you give 2 number ones for Josh Allen? Everyone give a thumbs up because I'd like to see Josh Allen come to the Rams. And so just remember this too. If you're, this was something someone brought up. Did you see the movie Draft Day? Anyone see Draft Day? And they talk about how Kevin Costner gave up 3 number 1 picks to get Bo Callahan, right? To get the number 1 pick in the draft. Well, it's actually only 2 number 1 picks because that year in the draft, you're still getting the number one pick. You're still getting a first round pick. It's just the following two that you're not getting. And if the Rams were to give up two draft picks for Josh Allen, then really they're making Josh Allen their number one pick this year, and then next year would be a number one pick. And of course, I don't think they would draft Josh Allen or make the deal for Josh Allen unless they knew they could sign him long term. That brings me to one other thing that I kind of, all right, Bill, 2 number ones for Allen. All right, we are in agreement there. That brings me to something that I was kind of just saving to come back to, down the road with this guy. But tomorrow's February 27th, and we're not going to be on the air. And the Rams in 2003, so it would be 21 years ago, they released Aeneas Williams, Dexter McClellan, James Hodgins at fullback, and Jamie Martin. They were always releasing Jamie Martin. Now, Aeneas Williams, they actually brought him back, but it reminded me of how big a deal it was to bring in Aeneas Williams. Remember Aeneas? Now he's a Hall of Famer, and the Rams got some really good years out of Aeneas Williams. But and of course he didn't cost them anything that Josh Allen would cost. But again, it just reminded me you make the big move, right? Rams got to the Super Bowl in 2001. They should have won the Super Bowl in 2001 with Aeneas Williams. He made another Pro Bowl, and Rams made the big move. 2 first-round draft picks for a guy named who? Who was it? That guy? Oh, Jalen Ramsey, right? From where? Jacksonville, right? You make those big moves, and I just think this window is here right now to make a big move like that. And I'd like it to be Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen, again, like I said, more than Brian Burns. All right, Dana, you like that too. Good. Okay, we're in agreement there. It was interesting. I mentioned Dexter McClellan. He got released and he didn't get re-signed. McClellan is a guy that's forgotten in Rams history. I mean, this guy was a starting corner for several years. He wore number 21. He was on the field when Mike Jones made the tackle. You see him there. He was a second-round pick, 40th overall in 97 out of Clemson. And he played 6 seasons for the Rams, and he became a starter at corner. And from 1999 through 2001, that was the Super Bowl window for the greatest show on turf team, he intercepted 16 passes in 3 seasons. That's a playmaker, right? That's a playmaker. Now, you got Dre Bly on the other side. You had Aeneas Williams on the other side. And, you had some help there. But anytime someone intercepts 16 passes in 3 seasons, that guy can play. And I think Dexter McClellan's lost to history a little bit. He intercepted 20 passes with the Rams, 20 of his career 31. And when he left as a free agent, or he was released, he moved on and played 3 more seasons with Dick Vermeil in Kansas City as a starter, and then ended up in Houston. But I thought it would bear mentioning that Dexter McClellan, some of these guys get totally and completely forgotten, and they shouldn't be. Williams was an all-pro cornerback and safety. Yeah, because he moved to free safety for the Rams. The only thing I didn't like about Aeneas Williams is we didn't get him 5 years earlier, right? But then again, if we had gotten him 5 years earlier, no one wouldn't have known what to do with him, right? They'd have messed that up. I did mention Dre Bly on the other side of Dexter McClellan, and actually in 99, it was Todd Light. Dre Bly was, I think, our nickel corner that year. All right, we've hit the 43-minute mark. We still got an audience, guys. I think I've blown through all of my material here. I don't have anything else unless you want me to bring up on this day in 2015, the Rams released Kendall Langford, right? I can bring that up. I think everything else we kind of covered. If you have any questions, throw them at me. Dick Vermeil was the reason McClellan became a good player. I don't know the background on that. We know the story of Vermeil struggling from 97 through 98 and then striking gold in 99. Yeah, I'll take it, right? I'll take it. That's such a bittersweet memory for Ram fans out here in LA. I'm happy for the guys in St. Louis, but how we felt towards Georgia and how we felt towards that whole proved we did the right thing by leaving. It was just so, man, it was a dysfunctional family time, right? It was like fighting at the Thanksgiving table. You're thankful that you're together. You got bird to eat. You got food. You got mashed potatoes. You got all this good stuff. And then there's that crazy aunt or uncle who has to blow it by saying something stupid. And That's how that Super Bowl 34 felt. I can't tell you. I let go of my barbaric yop when Mike Jones made the tackle. I went crazy. I was so happy. And some of my friends said, "What are you happy for? They're not in Los Angeles anymore." And I tried to shake the Rams. I tried really hard to shake the Rams, and I couldn't shake them. I just couldn't shake them. So I was happy with that Super Bowl title. And then she came in. Okay, geez, I don't want to lose an audience. Never speak that horrible woman's name. Took 20 years of NFL football from me. I was actually thinking if we should have a vote on names I can't mention, right? And I need a pass. I need a pass right now if I mention, names people don't want me to mention. I mentioned George's name. I mentioned Alex Barron's name. I mentioned certain names like Bobby with Bobby Evans' name. They're just names people say don't bring up that name. Don't bring up that name. So I should have certain names that are banned for the Rams. Geez nuts. I shook them for USC. Yeah, I loved USC too, but I just couldn't get I just couldn't get into leaving the Rams. I missed this. USA expat. Nominate John Shaw for no-fly list. Okay, John Shaw. There's another one. That one's brutal. Yeah, John Shaw. Anyone who dismissed Don Klosterman from making decisions in the Ram organization, and we realized once Rosenblum was gone, Klosterman was toast. But Don Klosterman, I'm in contact with a Don Klosterman's family member, and I need to get back to him. I haven't written to him for a while, but there's a guy, guys. If you guys in whatever message board you're at, whatever social media circle you're in, whatever group you're in, never hesitate to bring up Don Klosterman, who's well overdue as a Hall of Fame inductee. Don Klosterman was fantastic. I was prepping for this. Cortland Finnegan, I kind of liked him for one season. That's from Bill. Don Klosterman, it just never ends with this guy. You keep finding out what else he did. You realize the last year that the Rams really had Capoletti and McCutcheon was 78. Neither one played a full season. And if you look when the Rams dealt McCutcheon at the end of the 79 season, they dealt him to the Broncos. He was washed, and they got a third-round pick for him. Capoletti didn't play at all in 79. And Klosterman dealt his rights to the Chargers in 80. Excuse me. Dealt his rights to the Chargers, and he got a second-round pick for John Capoletti. Now, I don't know any of those picks really worked out. We'd have to investigate because I don't think they did, because when it came time to make the selection, Klosterman wasn't there anymore. But just something I'd like for you guys to keep talking about in terms of Don Klosterman. Geez nuts. Imagine what it would have been if Rosenblum had been around. Yeah. Oh, Gaston Green. Bill's just going through the history here. Don't forget Bill Hawkins and Cleveland Gary, right? Mike Peel, and those guys. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think what's his name? Rosenblum wanted that Super Bowl so bad, right? Rosenblum wanted that Super Bowl so bad, and I think he was going to medal until he got that Super Bowl. Also, he had a little bit. He was in Hollywood. I'm not saying he was Jerry Buss, but he was hip to the whole thing that he wanted more excitement from that Rams offense, and that caused the dispute between him and Chuck Knox leaving. There was also that issue there where Knox wanted James Harris, and Rosenblum wanted Pat Hayden because he was the fair-haired golden boy from SoCal. And I remember people just loved Pat Hayden, but when you saw Pat Hayden next to James Harris, it's like, oh, this ain't going to work, man. And I think we did a show about a month or two ago where when you go back and you see in these playoff games, you can watch them all on YouTube. It's very painful, but you can go watch them all on YouTube, and you can see them. And it's like the Rams were kidding themselves if they ever thought they were going to the Super Bowl with Pat Hayden. God bless the guy. It's just a high-end backup, is what he should have been. Okay, guys, I know I've gone long. I'm hitting the 50-minute mark. That's long. I know we got people clicking on. I so appreciate you guys clicking on. Believe me, it's It's an honor to talk this stuff. Every time we get a subscription, someone subscribes or hits the alarm button, please do. It's just encouraging. And I appreciate talking Ram football with you. And like I said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we hit our marks. I don't exactly have the best grasp on all the graphics and everything, but we're building. We're going to build, and we're going to get this thing worked out to where it looks a little bit better. And happy to talk to people. I know a question always comes up. But I like talking to you guys like this better than I do like talking to a partner, and keeps me on my toes. It makes me afraid to come on if I'm not prepped. Okay, guys, I do have to go. Let me take a look at this. USA expat Carol Rosenblum walked up to me at a Niner game, shook my hand, and asked me how I was doing wearing a Ram hat. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Hey, and don't take what I said that I was negative towards Carol Rosenblum. And believe me, the idea that he passed away and his son was completely out of the will, there was something very fishy about that story, right? And then we could stay here for a whole other year or two going on that. Last thing I want to add on that, Carol Rosenblum and talking about the Rams moving to Anaheim. If you were ever at the Coliseum in those days, you knew what a pit it was. And the Coliseum Commission was a horrible committee. It was a horrible group. They not only mistreated the Rams, they mistreated and lied to Al Davis even. So you understood the move to Anaheim. And I never was angry about the Rams move to Anaheim, or because that was already announced before Rosenblum even died. Anyway, Bill, thank you so much. Your show is headed in the right direction. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I hate leaving a live audience, but I do not want to go much longer because I don't think it's fair to you guys. God bless. Take care. Ask questions, leave it on there, and hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, hit the link, hit the share as we keep talking Ram football going forward. Okay. God bless, guys. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.